peeing, I think. God make it hardest for them. Firmly affirm. Firmly affirm. Where are my Cheetos? the paramedics here in Fond du Lac County wouldn't take me to the hospital from my apartment when I was in a life and death situation. If you have that problem, this lifeline is helpful because they call. They probably have my number programmed into their system or something. Don't answer or don't transport to the hospital or something. So Phillips Lifeline will get somebody, and they persist till they did. I complained to the head of the EMS here locally. Janquist was his last name. Then they changed the webpage so his name read Jarquist, but it was Janquist. He didn't follow up. My blood pressure was over 200. I was having cramping in my hand, starting to travel up my arm. They wouldn't transport me. The guy said cramping in the hand is not a sign of having a heart attack. I think it is. For my left hand. County doesn't like providing me with mobile meals either. It was kind of trouble signing up, but I do get them now. I give a $25 a month donation. I think his first name is Todd, Todd. Janquist. I don't know what the website, what his name says under his photo anymore. Before they knew I was going to call and complain, I think his name was right. And they changed it so I'd be inaccurate afterwards. think our rules are different, God. No. A. Mm, that's good. Uh-oh. I forgot. Did I have to look it up? Entropy. Enthalpy. Very good. Oh, okay. Um. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 Is that right? I did. Didn't I? Put it back in, didn't I? 10. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, could you back them up a little? And now. Mm-hmm. 12, 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Oh. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Pretty much. Mm-hmm. 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 No, I don't really want me to know. Mm-hmm. 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 I would use a little milk first. Um, maybe she'll take it. Mm-hmm. It's not that bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We kind of like to have it. Not that much. Mm-hmm. 7. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like sesame. I like sesame sticks. I especially like them when they're in a mix. When they're in a mix. I may have looked up the benefits of sesame, but I don't remember. Mm-hmm. Jesus. I have sesame oil. It was really inexpensive. When I read something about it on the internet, like in a recipe, it said use it sparingly. And I thought maybe it's like soy sauce, you know, it's really high in salt. And you have to be careful, but I could probably take it internally if it smells neutral. Probably be good for a person. Also, I like things from the Middle East. I like figs and dates. Sesame. They make a sesame butter like almond butter and peanut butter and stuff. It's called tahini. Tahini. I like it. I use it on toast. Sometimes I use peanut butter. But God approves. Oh, that'd be funny. Uh-huh. That'd be funny. Mm-hmm. I like olives. I don't like green olives with pimento, except in martinis. I like black olives. I like dirty martinis. I make mine with half vodka and half the water from an olive jar. But you can actually buy dirty martini mix, which is just a bottle of olive juice. You know, like the water from olives at a bar or something. It used to be when I'd get when I get a dirty martini at a bar, they would use the juice that they have the olives in until they ran out of juice, you know. They're called dirty martinis. I don't know. Someone told me if you buy top shelf, that's really good alcohol, you won't get hangovers. It doesn't have I don't know. It's pure. Now, I used to buy Kettle One, and I didn't get hangovers or anything. It was really good. A little expensive. Now I don't know, because everything, I don't know about you, but everything I buy, they change it. That's true pretty much everywhere I go. Well, Tom Collins or the other one. hmm I found 2 bottles of dirty martini mix, which is olive water. At Amazon, I bought both of them, and I like the cheaper one better. hmm It was about $9 or $10 for a bottle, but it makes quite a number of dirty martinis. Actually, I don't just use vodka and olive water. I use tap water too, or whatever water I have. I dilute my wine too, at least my red wine, about 50-50. I think beer is good for you. Hops and barley or whatever. My favorite box wine, because that really is the cheapest way, is Peter Vella. Vella. Now, if they have the resources to change it, they probably will. If you're a child of God, they don't like you any more than they like me. Peter Vella was actually cheaper than Franzia a couple times. I think it's the same quantity. Franzia may be owned by Tina France, Frantz. She and her husband and 2 children lived in Stanton, Virginia when we lived there. And I thought she was a nice person. She was a Jehovah's Witness. But she screwed me in the end. She got my husband and me to bring over our dehumidifier, which we bought in Miami for about $150 to help her dry out her basement because her washer leaked or something. And when she moved to Maryland, she took it with her. And I called her and asked her if she would please return it. And she never did. The Grunzes, Judy and Brian, owe me either $2,500 or $3,500. I think it's $3,500, but I'm not positive. I loaned it to her from a credit card. Because I believed with all my heart that she would pay me back. She was in a desperate situation. That's how she presented it to me. Oh, no. Anyway, either she sent the first payment of $50, she's going to pay me $50 a month, or she didn't. But I called her, and that's before long distance was free. I called her a couple times, and she said, well, I put it in a mailbox, but the post office said they don't pick up from that mailbox anymore, and on and on. I may have called her 2 or 3 times. And I thought, fuck it. If she's not gonna, I'm not gonna wrestle with her every month to get her to pay me. And I wasn't gonna spend money to try to collect money from a freak. So she never paid us back, or me. Somehow Richard Henning Jr. stuck me with the highest credit card bill. AOL Visa. When we divorced. I don't know how he did it. We were both signers on the credit cards, and we each had our own copies. But he was the only breadwinner. So I don't know how he succeeded in sticking me with the AOL Visa. Not one of the lower ones. Well, I got about half the debt, but AOL Visa really burned. God says that that's because me and him met under our screen names, not our real names, in Spiritual Insights, the chat room, Spiritual Insights. And I would check his profile. He'd change it almost every day, and I knew it was my boss at work, Paul. I never changed mine, I don't think. But the name he used, I found an explanation for it in a footnote in the New Testament of the Jerusalem Bible that I have, and I knew it was him. Anyway, so AOL is punishing me. I've been praying to God for 40 years. And there's nothing to stand between me and obeying God. Nothing. So. And, I felt like I had a good marriage with Richard Hanning Jr. I didn't know he was a plant. Or that most or all Marines are planted on spouses. They live with you for years, they have children with you, and then they turn around and fuck you. It was like 18 years we were married. It was 20 by the time we got divorced. And every fucking minute and every fucking word was a lie. So. He and my father had something in common. They were discharged after basic training. My father from the Army and Richard Hanning Jr. from the Marines. He said he scored highest on the Dade County test to become a Marine. So, it didn't make sense to me that they would let him go. Anyway, he lied about that and quite a number of things. God gave me time to have a life review, because there were things about Richard Hanning Jr. I hadn't seen. Like, God would have me watch videos, like family videos, and show me gestures and facial expressions that really surprised me. But I had some time while he was still alive, Richard Hanning Jr., to confront him about some of the lies he told me, and he just, it was all crap. He lied about everything. But I was grateful for the time that I had to confront him. I don't know how you undo 18 years of someone you consider a very good friend. But I am so past it now. All that God had to do was tell me he's evil. He hurts children. I could take 30 days and be past that. And this has been 17 and a half years. I don't need to work through this shit anymore. I have a mechanism by which I just cut out of my heart people who betray me or whatever. I mean, he's been out for a long fucking time. I just need to process. God has helped me process 18 years. But this has been 17 and a half years since I've worked for God and interacted with him. I saw him twice, briefly, no conversation or anything. 17 and a half years. I had to go through this shit of my whole life. Everybody in my life, plus celebrities and newscasters and shit. We have to repeat everything a million times. I care about God. I care very much about my son, but he changed, and he betrayed me and insulted me and was emotionally abusive, and, I love the person he used to be, and I always will. But he's a real dickwad. When I was homeless, he wouldn't let me stay at his house. Like, even for one night. I would have slept in the garage on a chair. He wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me store things in his garage or his basement. When it came time for me to move, he wouldn't help me move my furniture. Well, I didn't have furniture. I was in the homeless shelter for 5 months. I had clothing and stuff. And I asked him if I hired a taxi and got him to help, would Richard also help? And he said no. So. Well, Paul is God, and Paul was Jesus 2021 years ago. I know that. God says Satanists thought my son was Jesus. So God's been fucking with them with my son. Unfortunately, it's been working on me too. I can't please him. I cleaned the apartment when I lived at St. Peter's Place on Northeast 1st Street in Fond du Lac. Well, Pigcon, who betrayed me shortly thereafter, did most of the cleaning that day. But I cleaned after the party was over, and I don't mean just that day. I was going to have my son and his girlfriend over for breakfast. And it was cleaner than it was at the party, and it was clean at the party. And he came in and complained about the unsanitary conditions and that he wouldn't eat here. I think they left without eating. But he said he wouldn't eat here, it's unsanitary, and I told Melissa Hayes, who's a Satanist and a child torturer at Chegwin Elementary here, used to be a guidance counselor at Chegwin. I told her I thought my son was mentally ill. I mean, my house was clean. I probably hadn't wiped down the microwave or something. And he was emotionally abusive. I had to escape the house one night. He wouldn't leave me alone. He kept bitching about, Mom, when you eat something greasy, the bowls are still slippery when you wash them. I was like, well, how do you get grease off a bowl completely? You don't. You just keep using it until the grease comes off. I mean, I scrubbed it with soap and water. And a sponge. He said, Jimmy says the same thing. When you eat like a salad with salad dressing, the grease stays in the bowl. You know, it's still slippery, you know. I thought I knew how to do dishes, but apparently that wasn't good enough. And he would come into my room and confront me about things without knocking or anything. I had no privacy. I stopped going to the healthcare center for Department of Community Programs. And I stopped going to AA meetings, so I was home all the time. And he slept in the living room in a recliner, because he was really big. Well, since I was home all day, he couldn't do certain things in the living room that he would have done if I had not been there. And he said, you know, do you have to be here all day, every day? And I'm like, fuck, I pay rent. This is my home, too. You know, I've got my room. Can I have my zone? I'm going to have to walk through the kitchen to get to the bathroom. You know, I live here. And all of a sudden, I'm supposed to leave during the day. You know, well, I quit. I was tired of being mentally ill alcoholic. So I walked away from the places that gave me those labels. You know? I wanted a different label. Or just no label. And I just felt like I couldn't even relax in my own home because I paid rent. And I had a small room. And if you wanted to be alone in the living room, which you usually did, that was fine. But he couldn't jerk off. And so he wanted me to start leaving the house during the day. It's like, fuck you, why don't you go in the bathroom? Or go in one of the bedrooms, you know? He had bedrooms. So, anyway, he was so abusive, just coming at me about this and that and this and that. And I have been in a fragile state a lot, you know, with being attacked from the astral plane and really not being able to perceive God in my vicinity. And I've been physically ill, like vomiting and stuff. And he just kept at me after everything. I finally had to escape and go to a hotel. He sent the police after me. I escaped. I didn't tell him I was leaving. I took a bag or two of, you know, like a grocery bag or two of clothes, toothbrush and stuff, and my medicine. And I threw him over the porch railing when he wasn't around. And when he was busy or sleeping or something, I snuck out to my car and went and got the bags and just left. And I was going out. I couldn't smoke where I was. So I was going outside to smoke, and I was coming back in, and there were two police in the hallway. And they said, what room are you in, or something. And I told them, they said, well, are you Laura Landsberg? And I said, yes. He said, well, your son reported you missing. Don't you have to be missing for 24 hours when you're an adult? Your son reported you missing, so we've been looking for your car. So we found your car by your license plate in the parking lot. Well, Fond du Lac has like 43,000 people in it. I said, your son was worried that you were suicidal or you were drunk. You know. So I just waited till I could get out of there. He was very mean to me. But I paid cable. I paid more rent than anybody else. At that time, he had 2 tenants. And besides me, and I paid more rent, and I paid the whole cable bill for the whole house. I don't know what else I paid. I gave him a food allowance. He wouldn't help me grocery shop. He wouldn't help me put away groceries. He wouldn't help me cook, and then ultimately he wouldn't help me clean. I left the dishes and stuff in the sink for 2 weeks. And then I think he got off his ass and cleaned the dishes or something. I didn't do it. I wouldn't do them. So, it's my understanding that he's had Satanists around him, harassing him and whatnot, you know, attacking him. But he's not consciously aware of it or something. Nothing will bring him around. But he has never helped me in my time of need, except before he stopped believing me that I was going through some kind of backwards healing process. He was getting drunk on scotch and water. Didn't usually drink scotch. And I was told, you know, by angels that if I didn't have him, if he didn't come in and hold me all night, I wasn't going to make it. And I woke up that morning, and I had a bowl of scotch and water puke next to me, or he had cleaned it up. But later in the day, he said to me, Mom, you know, I came in and saw you like that, and I held you all night. And I said, shit. Thank God. That meant a lot to me. But he stopped believing me. It was like my situation was so traumatic, vomiting. I'd put Aldi bags under my butt because the Satanists were attacking my butt. I'd put Aldi bags around my head because they're thick plastic to protect my head. I don't know, it was just very chaotic for me. And it has been off and on for years and years and years and years. But he stopped believing me. He was my one supporter throughout raising him. He always believed me. I told him the truth when he was 6 or 7. And I just said that Donna was very abusive to me. And I am cutting her out of our lives. I'm sorry you're not going to get your $50 a year check for your birthday. And I told him because, like, we had moved and she hadn't had the address or something. He wasn't going to get his $50 check. Or I was going to tear it up if it arrived, because we weren't going to spend her money. So I had to explain to him why I wasn't getting Grandma's $50 for his birthday. So I had to tell him that I was very, very badly hurt. I don't know if I used the word tortured or not. Very badly abused, very badly hurt. And there was a rule in our house. The C word, cunt, was my least favorite word in the world. I hate that fucking word. But it applied to Donna Jean Valkmer Landsberg, and I said, don't ever use the C word around me. Don't ever use the C word. Unless you're talking about Grandma Donna. Then you can use the C word. It was okay to call Grandma Donna a cunt in our house. And all this time, Richard Hanning Jr., who Rich thinks is his father, and I think is my husband and the father of my child, is in league with Donna Jean Valkmer Landsberg and all the other shit that was satanic in my life that I didn't know about. So... Now, Paul, God, says he's straightened Rich out, that he's told Rich the circumstances. And I do make gestures and sounds like Rich sometimes, which indicates to me he's with me, helping me. So there's, a big fucktard. And I'm not privy to what the actual truth is. Except that Rich is with me in my heart, and he does help me. If I had maybe a few hours and a nap, I could figure out why I have to go through this shit. I no longer think it's because of the abuse and torture, because I've been doing this for 17 years and 1 month. And there just wasn't enough time in my life between 0 and 21 when I got out of the house, 22 when I got out of the house, to torture me as much as 17 and a half years of this shit would indicate. So... I'm going to stop recording and upload this, and I may not title it, but I'll put it on Facebook and Twitter.